Hey guys, welcome back. This video is a follow-up to my deep dive on the NES's Forgotten Competitors, where I talked about the Sega Master System, as well as the Atari 7800. And let me just say, judging by the comments on that last video, I'm gonna assume most of you showed up for the Atari 7800. Atari's, let's say, ambitiously doomed 8-bit console. Now, some people genuinely love this thing, and honestly, I think it's got some really cool games on it. It's far from my favorite retro system, and before you ask, there is no way in hell I would have picked one of these up over an NES back in the day. But that being said, it definitely had some interesting games on it. Some were really fun, some were really bizarre, and some will make you go, wait, what were they smoking?
Wow, man. That's some heavy shit, man.
I could have reviewed them one by one, but let's be real here. Most of these games are super simple, or are ports of arcade games, meaning they don't exactly lend themselves to 20-minute long reviews. So I figured I'd just grab a bunch of standout titles and just review them all in one video. So what are we waiting for? I'm Troy Schultz, the Anti-Gamer Slayer, and I say it's time we take a look at some Atari 7800 games. First up, we got a port of one of my favorite classic arcade games, Asteroids. The objective is simple: blow up all of the asteroids. Big asteroids break into medium ones break into small ones, and small ones, when you shoot them, are obliterated. Oh, and also occasionally a UFO shows up as well, just to ruin your day. Yes, you shoot it too. It's just a one-screen game, and it's old as hell, but I absolutely love it. Something really cool is I actually grew up on the Atari 2600 version of this game. You see, I had one of those plug-and-plays that were around in the early 2000s when I was a kid, that was given to me by my grandfather, and it ran on a few batteries and looked like an old Atari controller. And Asteroids was one of the few games on it that I actually played and liked. So, while I'm not a huge Atari guy overall, this one game here is pretty solid. And if you're gonna play Asteroids today, the 7800 version is the way to go. I cannot recommend it enough. It has multiple difficulty modes, updated graphics, and multiplayer, with versus and co-op. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone to play this game with, though I really want to play this game two-player with somebody someday, as I have a feeling it would be a ton of fun. Arcade games like this are my go-to when I'm pulling out my hair from coding, because, yeah, coding games is hard. And the great thing is, I don't need to get emotionally invested in a story. I can just have fun for 5 minutes, blow off some steam, and improve my mood. Oh, and you guys want to hear something very funny? You see, the original arcade version of Asteroids did not have a story. However, when it came to the 2600, they gave it a story. If you read the manual, you'd get it. However, I don't know why they bothered, because it can be summed up like this. You are part of the Cosmic Space Patrol, and you've gotten yourself stuck in an asteroid field. That's it! There's no deep lore, no villains, no characters, just, yeah, you're a dumbass because you flew your ship into an asteroid field because you're a dumbass, apparently, and now you gotta shoot your way out of it. Asteroids was actually the main inspiration for my studio's first game, Nova Rebellion. It's a space shooter where you play as rock and roll space outlaws. Yes, really. And it's for sale right now on itch.io. I will leave a link to the store page in the description. So if you want to support the channel, give it a purchase. Give it a try. Who knows? You might have some fun. Don't give me that look. I had to put the ad in here somewhere. Anyway, if you have a 7800, or you're a fan of Asteroids, or God forbid, both, you have to give this version a try. It is, in my humble opinion, the best arcade port on the console, as well as the best version of Asteroids out there. Next up, we have Commando, one of the only Atari 7800 games to use the Pokey chip, which means the game has actual music in it. Commando is a top-down run and gun set in a war zone that is clearly inspired by Vietnam. Though it's never actually called Vietnam, it's just generic jungle conflict 47. And your job is very simple. Just get from one end of the level to the other, shooting everything that moves. You've got a gun, you got grenades, and you've got zero narrative context as to what the heck is going on. Just go make violence. There is a multiplayer mode, as well as multiple difficulty options. And you start the game with a gun and grenades. And these grenades we need to talk about. Am I doing something wrong, or can you only throw them straight up in this game? Like, I can't toss them left or right, just up. Occasionally, this is useful, but most of the time, it's just frustrating. I mean, I'm in a freaking war zone. Shouldn't I be able to throw my grenades wherever I want to? Regardless though, the game is a ton of fun, and I bet it would be even better in multiplayer. Also, shout out to the little cutscenes between levels. Your soldier just casually drinks and smokes in this game between levels. Yup, this game is mature, folks. Now, I'm gonna be straight with you guys right here. If I'm gonna play an 8-bit run and gun, it is gonna be Contra most of the time. Commando is great, but Contra is way better in my opinion. Next up, we have one of the most bizarre games on the Atari 7800, Ninja Golf. Let me explain how this game supposedly came to be. The developers, Blue Sky Software, realized two things were popular in the late 80s and early 90s: ninjas and sports. So naturally, they asked, what if we combined the two, ninjas with a sport? And instead of choosing something kids actually liked, like baseball or football, they went with golf. Golf. For kids and teenagers in the 90s. What were they thinking? I don't know who you have to live with, or what dimension you have to be from to think kids were hyped about golf back in the 90s. What were they thinking? Anyway, this game is off the rails bonkers. To be fair, it has a story, which goes like this. To finalize your ninja training, you must complete 9 rounds of ninja golf, battling enemy ninjas, giant frogs, sharks, dragons, and whatever these weird ground tentacle things are that shoot you like angry lawn sprinklers. Like, what are these things? What did I smoke? And what in the heck is going on? And did I forget to mention, this golf game has dragons in it? Yes, dragons. Every boss fight in the game is a dragon. And to this game's credit, the game uses a semi-3D effect for these fights, which actually looks kind of cool. But everything else is dull, repetitive, and clunky. The gameplay switches between classic golf and a beat 'em up that feels like it was coded during a caffeine crash. Combat is stiff, the enemies are copy-pasted, and the novelty this game has wears off really fast. Still, I got some laughs out of the game. For one, why is golf considered a ninja activity? 2, why are there snakes here? 3, why do I have to go underwater to grab my golf ball? And lastly, why are there sharks in this freshwater river? This game makes absolutely 0 sense. But if you happen to see it cheap and you own a 7800, I would say get it just for the laughs. Or you can emulate it if you're really curious. Now what's really crazy is this game has a cult following, and hey, no harm if you love it. I just don't like it that much. And if you're a fan of Ninja Golf, I honestly want to hear why. I am very curious as to how anyone could find enjoyment in this game. So leave a comment or hit us up in the Dragon's Den, our Discord server. I'm genuinely want to hear your take on this game. Next up, we got a game called Zevians, a title I saw only once before I started playing 7800 games. You see, I used to see this game a lot back at an old Mexican restaurant I used to go to as a kid. I didn't play it that much. When I went to that restaurant, I mostly played Dig Dug, but I do remember trying this game out a few times, but I don't have that many memories of it, so to speak. Not to say it's a bad game, it just wasn't my style back then. Now, before we get into what I think of this game now, I highly recommend that if you ever plan on playing this game, check out the Atari promo movie from 1982 that aired on television. It's only a few minutes long, and it does a really good job of explaining the game mechanics, as well as the backstory to this game. Yeah, the backstory is batshit insane. So the Zevians had once colonized Earth, but when they found out an ice age was coming, they peaced out and flew off into outer space. Now they're back, and they want their planet back. So you pilot the Solvo fighter, tasked with blowing up their ground bases using bombs and taking out their air forces using blasters. Your ship has 2 weapons, the Zapper for airborne enemies and the Blaster for ground targets, which you aim using the reticle. Now here's where things get a little interesting. Zevians has an adaptive difficulty, meaning the better you play, tougher the enemies get. To give you an idea of this game's difficulty, I tried to get some footage of one of their boss ships, and it took me over an hour to gather footage of this ship, the Andor Genesis Mothership. So no joke, this game is hard. You have to lead your shots, dodge like a maniac, and line up your bombs with pixel-perfect precision. So if you like brutal top-down shooters, this game is for you. It's not my style, but if you're a masochist that likes brutal difficulty, then this game, dear gentlemen, is for you. Hey guys, you ready to see something very bizarre? You ready to question reality itself and the very fabric of existence? Allow me to show you the most bizarre sight on the Atari 7800.
Something's coming up the plumbing for Luigi's in a bind. Giant turtles out to get him, creepy crabs are right behind. Fighter flies, cheaper shites, they're all coming out the pipes.
Mario, where are you? It's Atari Mario Brothers with Mario from Donkey Kong, his brother Luigi, and lots of crazy creatures. And it's twice the fun when 2 play at once, because you need all the help you can get. Mario, where are you? Mario Brothers, new from Atari.
Yup, Nintendo's Mario Bros. On an Atari console, released after the NES was already out. Let that sink in for a second. So, how did this happen? Well, to make a long story short, Nintendo wasn't always a console manufacturer. They started making playing cards way back when. Then they moved on into the arcades. And then back in the early 80s, they licensed out some of their arcade IPs, including Mario Bros, to other companies to port over to home consoles. Atari snagged the rights to Mario Bros back in 1983, and they held onto them until 1988. So even though the NES had launched in 1985, Atari still had the legal green light to release Mario Bros. On the 7800 in December of 1988. By that time, the Super Mario Bros. Game had already released and was revolutionizing the platforming genre on the NES. So, is this Atari Mario Bros. Game any good? Not really. I mostly included it because it's such a wild piece of gaming history. And it's also probably the only Mario game where the brothers are actually doing some kind of plumbing work. The main goal of the game is to clear out these sewer pipes by hitting enemies from underneath, flipping them over, and then running over them to take them out. While there is the occasional bonus stage where you have to collect coins, it's not enough to stop this game from being repetitive as hell. It might be a little bit more fun in multiplayer, but unless you're a hardcore Mario fan and want to see all of his adventures, I would just skip this game if I were you. Now we get to my favorite game on the Atari 7800, Dark Chambers. I don't know what it is about this game, but it's just relaxing. It's simple, and yeah, the sound design really sucks. There's no music, just crunchy effects and silence, but the gameplay is surprisingly fun. Dark Chambers is an endless dungeon crawler where you start at level A and descend deeper into the darkness. You collect keys, items, gold for points, and bombs, which basically nuke the entire screen. There's other items here as well, but most of them just increase your attack power, or give you back some health. The gameplay is very smooth and intuitive, and surprisingly, a ton of fun. There is one thing that's really weird about the gameplay, and that is when you defeat enemies, it's like they devolve. For example, you got blue grunts, skeletons, and yellow ghosts. When you kill a skeleton, it turns into a blue grunt. Kill a ghost, and it becomes a skeleton. It's like this reverse evolution thing, and I don't know why this happens, but it's oddly satisfying, like you're slowly demoting the armies of hell. Now, I honestly will never forget the time I figured out this game was endless. You see, I spent about 45 minutes playing through the entire game, and I made it all the way to level Z, the last floor of the dungeon. And I was thinking, this is going to be the big showdown, the final boss. And I got a loot room, just this big room full of treasure. I exit the room, and I'm back at level A. Yes, this game is endless. It just loops over and over again, getting harder every time you play. And if you're wondering what A and Z mean, this game doesn't use numbers to tell what level you're on. It uses letters. A being the first level, Z being the last level. It's designed very much like an arcade game, where it's endless and gradually gets harder as you go. Speaking of difficulty, this game takes its sweet time getting hard. Like the first 20 minutes, nothing will threaten you whatsoever. Like honestly, I don't think I've ever gotten a game over in this game. Most of the time, I just get bored after 45 minutes to an hour and shut it off. But believe me when I say it's a ton of fun. It's simple and just very relaxing. I highly recommend this one if you have a 7800. It is in my opinion, probably the best game on the console. Also, something else I'd like to point out about this game. This game's graphics and art design is stellar in my opinion. I love this game's graphics. They're simple but very charming, and I just absolutely adore them. And that wraps up my rundown of some standout games on the Atari 7800. If you want me to review more, drop your suggestions in the comments, and I'll definitely consider doing a Volume 2 sometime soon. You'll also notice my voice sounds a lot better now. That's because I finally got a proper microphone. And let me tell you, it makes recording way easier. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel, make sure to like the video. It helps me out a ton. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can buy Nova Rebellion, the game my studio made, off itch.io. And if you want a place to hang out and talk about old games, well, we have a Discord server called the Dragon's Den. Links in the description. And with that, this is Troy Schultz, the Anti-Gamer Slayer, signing off.